Welcome to MomFit with Joe Peters. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network and the H.E.R Network on Single TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Single TV app in both the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you are downloading, make sure that you leave a comment and a like. The app is free. Single TV is available in several platforms. You can find Single TV in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV, Roku, and Roku Stick in all smart TVs since 2016. Today, it's funny because today my MomFit shirt is parenting style surviving, and I think that is very fitting because our dear Liv, our guest, is actually handling COVID, and I am also sick. I don't have COVID, but I'm also sick, so we are literally surviving right now. But we are so happy to have you here, and I am excited to have Liv with us here. I met Liv couple of months ago, and I was amazed with her energy, her female vibration, and the big heart that she has, and how she's a embodiment of a goddess energy with a tender, soft thing. And as more I start learning from her, as more I start falling in love with her, because Liv provides the greatest quality of care while empowering and promoting independence amongst moms. Her approach is holistic and combines energy work, intuitive healing, mind body skills. And a couple of what we are going to be talking now is how she used all of that to help moms in pregnancy with hypnobirthing to prepare for the birth that they deserve and they dream. Um, these interventions include also yoga techniques, somatic work, EFT, that I'm a big fan of as well, mindfulness, meditative practice, progressive relaxation techniques, hypnosis, therapeutic imagery. In addition to all of this, she also is a coach and work with behavior modification strategies, motivational interviewing, and other therapeutic interventions to provide the mamas that she works with the optimal behavior changes and mindset improvements. Liv is a certified meditation and mindful guide, certified emotion code practitioner, holistic behavior coach, Reiki level 2 practitioner, and certified clinical hypnotist. In her hypnotherapy work, she specialized in teaching relaxation techniques and pain management for childbirth and labor, and hypnosis for trauma, anxiety, and phobias. So, what I love about Liz is she's taking everything that she wants and focus it in one of her passions, that is helping moms to be and new moms in two areas of their journey before birth to prepare them to actually feel empowered in getting the birth that they want and deserve. And also, if unfortunately these mamas don't find her on time and they had some kind of traumatic experience during birth, she helped them in postpartum to heal that experience and embrace it. So, Liv, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you're feeling a little better. I'm hugging you with my heart. I love you for being here, even when you are sick. And let's jump in. I would love if you start with telling us a little bit about your story and how you end with this love and passion for helping moms to be and new moms in this beautiful stage of birth and postpartum.
Yes, so I found clinical hypnosis probably 3 years ago. So first it started with exploring altered states of consciousness, um, and then I stumbled upon, became obsessed, utilize hypnotherapy. My favorite applications are or anxieties or fears with pain management for childbirth. A lot of my clients that come to for the hypno utilizing hypnotherapy management is because terrible birthing experiences in the past, or traumatic, Some of my clients have even had lost babies with them to uncover some of these
Liv,
limited.
I'm gonna stop you right now. Can you check because you are cutting on me? Like I'm being hearing you chopping. Like I hear you and then I stop hearing you. Hear you, stop hearing you.
Let's see. Connections fine. Wonder if it's
And then,
just is it a
it's funny because it's like I hear you and then it's like it's something get muted and I don't hear you anymore.
hold on.
And then as she start looking into those technical issues, this is Mama life, right? This is
Right,
real
right.
time. Mama's doing it. One of the things that I learned with her is that she is one of those people that in the face of adversity, we all have two options. Um, we can we can face them and take them with us and then feel bad about them and have them as trauma, or we can do something about it. And one of the things that happened with Liv is that she had a not ideal birth experience when she was very young. And instead of carrying that as baggage, she used that as a fuel to actually give her that mission and passion in life to make sure that other moms do not have the same experience that she had. And I think that she's back. So let's gonna try again, Liv.
Okay. And can you hear me okay now? Good.
Keep talking and I will see. You cut a little bit, but then you went back, so we'll see.
So yeah, yeah. Left off was I was discussing the type of work that I do in childbirth. Um, I'll just
Yes.
keep talking until I get okay. So the work that um, I do is I teach this so that they can use the new their sessions, carry them into the birthing room, or relaxed and control or informed medical decisions about their childbirth, and also be in a position to self advocate. Oh, let's see. Yes. I'm
Maybe,
wondering
maybe.
if I should through Chrome instead of Safari.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do that right now. I apologize.
Huh, that's fine. So Liv is going to change browsers because the little fairies don't like us to go into some browsers and others. So she's going to do that and see if that help with the sound. And as we do, one of the things that I will share with all of you as my experience, I did hypnobirthing. I didn't do it with Liv, but one of the things that helped me with hypnobirthing was that it was almost like when you are preparing for a run, for a 5K, for whatever it is. During your pregnancy, you start preparing yourself. You start training into conditioning conditioning yourself into managing your stress, into managing your pain, into managing how you are feeling, so that when you go into birth, you are able to activate that. And one of the most beautiful ways that I have to experience, to explain hypnobirthing and how hypnobirthing works is you train your brain enough for a response with a stimulus, a response with a stimulus, a response with a stimulus, to the point that after you do that a lot, when you have the stimulus, you immediately get the response immediately. One of the things that I remember somebody telling me is almost like if you start training a puppy or a cat that you give them food every time that you ring a bell, after couple of weeks of doing that, or months, then when you ring the bell, their puppy is going to start salivating even before he sees the food. So the stimulus create the reaction, and that is one of the things that I experienced with hypnobirthing. I did the stimulus response, the stimulus is response. So when I went to birth, when I went to do that, and the pressure waves start, then that stimulus create immediately the response of allowing me to be calm and rest and welcome back, Liv. Let's gonna take from here.
So that was a great explanation. And that's operant and classical conditioning. So behavior modification, and that is what hypnosis is. It's a form of behavior modification. So you might wonder, okay, well, how does behavior change and behavior modification help with childbirth? But like you said, we're preparing ourselves for that, the desired response to the stimulus. So it takes practice, which you know from your experience. Yay, okay, our audio is perfect. Okay. So yeah, I wish I had known about hypnosis when I had given birth to my child. So I had my child 12 years ago when I was 20. So I was very young. I didn't know what to expect from the experience in the labor and delivery room, right? I read the books of what to expect during my pregnancies, but I didn't know what the process was going to be like in the actual labor and delivery room. Um, so it was very fast paced, very on the doctor's terms. I felt like I was being manhandled and kind of forced. And I wish I knew then what I know now. So, yeah, a lot of my work is just really based around educating and empowering women and letting them know, hey, if you could select who you want on your medical team, right? You can have a coach, you can have a doula in addition to your gynecologist. So yeah, just really empowering women and teaching them how to self-advocate, but also how to utilize self-hypnosis for managing that pain during childbirth.
And one of the things, so many things that I want to talk with you, but several things that I want to talk with you. One about you don't feeling that you were forced. Actually, I remember, and I think that I shared this with you already, is when I get to the hospital, I was fully 10 centimeters dilated. And my midwife was like, okay, time to push. But because I did all this work, because I was feeling empowered, because I was doing the hypnobirthing, I was like, I don't feel ready. I do not want to push. Can I wait? And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And then my doula was like, yeah, she can wait, right? And then the midwife was like, in 20 years of career, I never got a woman that was 10 centimeters dilated and didn't want to push as soon as possible. And I'm like, I I just don't feel that I'm ready to push. And I was able to wait. And I think that that was part of what make it a natural birth without tearing, without any kind of trauma, because I was listening to my body instead of listening to the medical team that was supporting me. One of the things that I like to see is think of me like I am the captain of the ship, and then the other people around me in birth are there, my support team. But as the captain of the team, I'm still the one responsible to steer and direct how the experience is going to be. One of the things that I want to talk with you is the one about some moms are like, there is a lot of taboo around hypnosis, right? And
Yes.
hypnobirthing. So some moms are like, "Ooh, that is woo woo. That is from the devil. That is dangerous. You don't know what they will put in your mind when you're in hypnosis." So let's gonna start from that basic part of what hypnosis and hypnobirthing is and what is not, and a scale 1 to 100, really how safe it is and how really how woo woo is and how much is actually backed up by science.
Yeah, so and I wanted to touch base on how you mentioned like you didn't have tearing and you were more relaxed, right? So that's one of the beauties of this approach when you're using it is when we are stressed, right, our body tenses up. So that's not an optimal condition or a state to be giving birth in, right? So a lot of times when women go into the labor room, they're automatically bracing for pain, right? And we tense up and tighten. So if we don't learn these relaxation skills, then you often are going to experience things like tearing and more pain. So I can, I guess I'll touch on the science behind hypnosis. So when we enter into a hypnotic state or a trance, this is the theta brainwave state. So it's important to know that we enter into theta brainwave state or hypnosis every single day. All of us do. So when we're utilizing clinical hypnotherapy, we have a therapeutic outcome or a goal, right? So we enter into hypnosis multiple times throughout the day. So right when you wake up, right before you fall asleep, when you zone out or daydream, that's theta brainwave state. So we want to optimize that state for ultimate relaxation and control and comfort in hypnosis. So there's a lot of research that has been done. They've been utilizing hypnosis in medical areas for pain management since the 1950s. So when I have clients that come to me who might be hesitant or, hey, this, is where's the evidence, or is this woo woo? Then I can present them with the data and some research articles. And a lot of people do appreciate the science behind it. So there is evidence that shows that it's effective.
Thank you so much for that. And one of the things that I want to go deep into this with you and your opinion and your expertise as one of those key members of a mama's team, because one of the things that I talk in MomFit all the time is that concept of the head coach or the captain of the boat. It's a stupid, and I know that this is very passionate for you too, but I even think that it's a patriarchal approach of making women feel that they have to go through this alone because it's nature. You are supposed to know what it is, you are supposed to do it naturally, and we get this pressure in our shoulders that we need to figure out how to do all this by yourself. And what I advocate is no, you need a support system behind you. Actually, I say you need a coach, you need a hypnobirthing expert, you need a doula, you need a postpartum doula, you need a midwife, you need a lactation consultant. Like, you need a lot of people around you to actually make this be what it's supposed to be. And it's a beautiful, magical experience. I'm not saying that only you will have that with all that team. What I'm saying is, with that team, your possibilities to get there are going to be much higher. And as that expert, I want to hear your feedback on that, because one of the things that really scared me when I was pregnant, and I will tell you, I walked out of classes, is because every class that you had, every movie, every propaganda that you see of a woman giving birth, I don't even remember if I ever saw a movie when a mom was giving birth nice. It's always the mom is
Yeah,
screaming, "Ah! Ah, I'm gonna die. They take it out," because that is what sells, right? So
right.
we are getting into that preconception that birth has to be painful. And I get a lot of critique, actually, after I had my baby, and I get into social media telling people that I was not, that my birth was not painful. And I had a lot of moms, probably with a traumatic experience, really attacking me and saying, "You are lying. All childbirth is painful." And I'm not saying for everybody else, for me, my childbirth was not painful.
Yeah.
It was extreme. It was absolutely extreme. It was the most extreme thing that I lived in my life, but I don't recall and I don't see it as being something that was uh, painful and extreme pain. So let's going to talk a little bit about that, about what is the reality and what is what society is being brainwashing us into expecting as mamas.
Yes. So that's a great point. So every birthing experience is individualized, right? So my experience was different than yours. And someone who might have a low tolerance or threshold for pain might struggle to utilize some of these techniques, right? So it's one, first just finding out, is this something that's right for you? Because this might not be right for everybody. But we have been conditioned, right, from what we're seeing in media, and to believe that it's extremely painful and it has to be, and that's just the nature of it. But that's just not accurate. And again, we can go back to qualitative data, and other women's experiences. So I have had clients who have progressed very fast throughout their entire delivery process and reported minimal pain. But then I've also had clients who felt pain but still didn't need the epidural. But it all comes down to how much are you practicing these tools that you learn, because it takes practice to make it a new habit. And also, what's your suggestibility type? So that's something you'll hear in hypnosis, is what type of suggestibility are you and how suggestible are you? And what that means is how responsive your unconscious or subconscious mind is to new information and new suggestions. So when we are in hypnosis, that analytical mind, that analytical filter or the veil is lowered, and we can start to accept new information without judging it or pushing it away. So the more you're repeating that, the better you are at becoming more suggestible, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I love how kind you are on pointing out that the experience is different. And that's very good point is hypnosis, hypnobirthing is not going to guarantee that you are not going to have a painful birth. Going to give you the tools to, even if you do, being able to handle it. And one of the things that I was thinking when you were talking is, because I'm also a health coach, so I see it also with weight release, is cortisol and stress is one of our worst enemies. When we want to release fat and weight, is our worst enemy. When we are in birth, because when you are in birth, if you are flooded with cortisol, if you are flooded with stress, what you are telling your body is, this is not safe.
Right.
I am in danger. I need to fight, fly, or froze.
Yeah.
And if any of the situations are happening, that is not when your body wants to get your baby. Like if you think back into when we were living in the caves, a woman could be in labor, that if a threat came in and a tiger was chasing, the body will stop the birth because
Mhm.
the woman has to be safe, and the woman has to go and find a better place to give birth, and then the birth process will restart. There are some research about that. So it's beautiful because the hypnobirthing, those meditative techniques, those relaxation techniques, what they are doing is, in my opinion, I want to love to hear your opinion, is allowing us to keep that cortisol level low. Whenever the cortisol came up because it's painful, because something is coming out, whatever it is, that those techniques are helping us to send the body the different message of, no, don't stress, you don't have to panic, we are safe. This is a safe place for us to keep opening and letting this baby come out.
Yeah. And what you're saying is activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So when we're in fight or fight, why am I stumbling on it? Fight, flight, or freeze, we are activating that sympathetic nervous system, right? So there are techniques like breath work, right? Or mindful awareness, which can help us to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's that state of rest and digest. Whereas the sympathetic nervous system, when we activate that, that's that fight or flight, right? That's that actual state of that. So that's a wonderful point, and that is something that I teach all of my clients, because hypnosis is a mind-body therapy approach. It helps with down regulating the nervous system. So you do want to be in a more of that rest and digest state when you are in labor, so you're not tensing up, right? Bless you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Liv, a question on all the mamas that you are being helping. I know that you have beautiful experiences and beautiful testimonials. Is two things that I want you to share. The first one is how a mom that is watching us right now that is pregnant can explore if this is going to be something that is going to be beneficial. And I will even say, will this be beneficial for everybody, even if the range of result vary? So how a mom can know and maybe look into you or somebody else into understanding more about this process. And the second one is how early a mama can do some of this work, like it has to wait to a specific trimester or as early as possible. It's going to talk about some of that to give these mamas that are watching on some tool for them to start exploring this option.
Yeah, so I think a good place to start, and I say this with all of my clients, is are you receptive to a guided meditation? And if the answer is yes, or if you struggle, and even if you do struggle, still maybe explore it with a clinical hypnotist that has experience in teaching these tools for childbirth and labor. Um, but if you respond to those suggestions and you're able to relax, then it's absolutely worth it to hire a coach or a hypnotist. So play around with some videos on YouTube, maybe see if you like it. If it resonates with you, then reach out to somebody. So I can be found at zenningkent.com. I do virtual sessions, so I work with people all over the world. And it's recommended to start this work. You can't start it too early, but we really like to start around 25 weeks. And my sessions usually last, we do 5 sessions. Sometimes we need to do a little more if there's some limited beliefs or some, trauma there, and we have to disentangle that.
So that's fantastic. And I think that that is great because the other thing that I want to being a responsible mom and show is right now you can find anything in YouTube. And I will actually recommend, and I want to hear your expert um, reasons why that is not wise is if you are going to explore something like this, please invest in yourself to do it with somebody that is trained and
Yeah.
had experience doing it. This is not something that you are going to save a couple of dollars and then just and do it yourself in YouTube. So I want to also see that side of the part of why it's important to do this kind of work with a companion, with somebody that is trained and expert, and also that is able to tweak it and adjust it to your own reality versus just do it in a generic blank blanket in YouTube.
Yeah, and that's a great point. So, there are tons of recordings available on YouTube, but like you said, they're not going to be geared toward that individual. A lot of times when people try hypnosis, they're like, I tried a YouTube video, it didn't work. And the reason often is they don't personalize it toward you, right? They don't know the specific type of language and suggestions that your subconscious mind responds to. So a clinical hypnotist has access to assessment tools to identify exactly what it is that you need and exactly what type of language your mind responds to. And again, yeah, safety. You want to make sure that if you have some medical conditions, you are going to want to get clearance from your physician. So a lot of times, if I have women that have some medical issues or even psychological disorders, I will require a referral from their physician for clearance just to be safe. So, yeah.
That is very important. And one of the other things that I want to touch base with you is we were talking half of the program into the pregnancy in like the preventive state. If I'm a pregnant mom and I want to make sure that my birth is um, as good as I can or as I deserve, one of the things that I love about hypnobirthing, and I want to hear your opinion on maybe different experience that you saw, is it give you the tools to be able to respond even if things are not going the way that you want them. That is
Mhm.
one of the biggest things that I feel that is a gap in the birth part of the process, because we as women make a plan. This is my plan, and this is what I'm expecting to happen. And then when that plan doesn't happen, then immediately trigger that cortisol, the stress, and then what I call it is things that start cascading
Yeah.
really fast into what sometimes we think is a nightmare. So one of the things that I see with the hypnobirthing and these relaxation techniques is it prepare us also to face and respond better to those turns and tweaks in our plan. I remember my goal and my dream was to have a water birth, to get in the water and then not get out until I have my baby. But when I get to the hospital, I was already full dilated, and in Cleveland they support water labor, not water birth.
Oh,
So my plan, being evil, was that I was going to jump in the water in labor, and I will not get out, and I will have my baby in the water. But then what happened was, when I get there and I was fully dilated, they didn't even let me get in the water because they were like, no, you are ready to push. You cannot go into water. And one of the things that the hypnobirthing and the hypnosis that I did help me to was to not go into a spiral down of that was my plan and now I'm not having it. And if I'm not having it, this is other thing. I was able to adjust and
mhm.
keep calm and face the new situation with the same tools and the same opportunity to have a beautiful bird. So on that perspective is, what are some of the other benefits that are almost like cascading, that like that butterfly effect that having the hypnobirthing tools and having that relaxation techniques can help you during pregnancy and during birth?
Yeah, so a lot of times what we do is practicing and role playing all the different outcomes, because when we address those head on and practice before you get into that room, and we are, pre-planning all the things that could go wrong or go differently or not according to plan. Um, from that practice, you're coming from a more prepared state, right? So even if the pain is, creeping up, you're able to access those inner resources that you've built up in your sessions and get back to a balanced state where you're more in control and can kind of go with the flow. So that's another beautiful part about this work is you have the opportunity to role play some of these things with, your hypnotist. Um, so yeah.
One other thing that I want to go before we go to the second part of the show is um, how a mom can know that what she's doing is working, because that is part of like sometimes that the self doubt is coming up. Well, like I don't feel any difference. Will this actually be working? And then how moms can be trustful that sometimes even if they are not feeling some of those things, they are still working in their subconscious.
Yeah. So practice, practice, practice. Just keep practicing your recordings for the self hypnosis, and really also practicing that trusting yourself and your inner wisdom. And that's not something we can do overnight, right? And we go back to that patriarchal approach where we're in that birth room. They have this plan and they want you to do it their way, right? But when we're able to trust our decisions and our inner wisdom, then we're more empowered. And usually, what happens is we will believe in ourselves and we'll follow along with that. But also having support from your team or your partner, whoever's with you, and letting them know what your plan is and how you want the things to go. So communication and, that's trying to follow that birthing plan that you've created with your team.
That's fantastic. And I love how you are talking about communication and the birthing, because that is one of the biggest things that I also advocate, and is don't let things just roll into luck. If and then I guess that there are some moms that are okay with it, but if you decide to have a specific outcome, a natural birth, a non-medicated birth, if any of those are things that in your mind you would like to explore, make sure that you are very clear about communicating. Make sure about your partner or the person that is next to you know how they can support you and help you. This is a beautiful segue, because the other thing that I was thinking when you were talking is that difference between the female and the male energy, right? So normally when you are in hospitals, there is a lot of light, a lot of noise in the labor room. And one of the things that I learned with my hypnosis process and my natural birth is that those are very stimulating for the brain and the eyes, and not a very inclusive way to tell your body that is a safe place that it can relax. So also having that empowering to make sure that the lights can be dimmed, that you can have soft music, that people in the hospital, if you are doing in the hospital, know that you are a hypnobirthing mom. I actually print a big page with beautiful unicorn saying hypnobirthing baby, and I put it outside the door. So when nurses were coming in, they will come in with a gentle voice, in an
Right.
environment that will actually prove to my body that we were able to relax, that we were able to rest, that we were able to expand.
Yeah. And I just wanted to chime in for a sec. So also, the patriarchal approach to like childbirth is they treat it as an emergency, right? And we need to reframe that, because childbirth and labor is not an emergency, right? It's a beautiful natural process, and we should be able to enjoy the experience.
Now, before we start closing the show, I want to talk a little bit about, unfortunately, the other side is the moms that had a traumatic birth experience, the moms that everything went the wrong way, the moms that get anxiety and depression because they have a really out of the what they were expecting experience. How these hypnosis, how these techniques, how these um, behavior modification strategies can help them to heal that trauma, to be in peace with that situation, and make sure that that is not holding them back. Because you and me both know that the issue with those kind of traumas is that they stay there, and they keep going and they keep going, and they start holding us as females behind. So for those mamas in the other spectrum, what you can tell them, how, what tools they have, how they can see hope and understand that even when they have a traumatic birth, they still have a way to heal it.
Mhm. Yeah, so, these approaches are beautiful, complementary, and alternative approaches. So, hypnosis fits in beautifully and complements any other treatment or intervention you're receiving. It complements them beautifully. So, it never hurts to learn these skills and to add them into your routine or your healing journey or treatment. And to address the trauma piece, because I have worked with women with trauma from their birthing experience. Um, so if you've ever heard of The Body Keeps the Score, Dr. Vanderkolk, Bessel Vanderkolk, he gave an example of how hypnosis is very effective for treating trauma. Because what we can do is we can address a new association or a new association to a distressing stimuli, to something more positive through hypnosis. So we also call this like systematic desensitization or exposure therapy. But just make sure that your hypnotist is trained in this. You don't want to just go with any person who just has some certificate from some random place. I suggest and recommend working with somebody who does have mental health training if there's trauma there.
And what, because all that sounds amazing. How we can explain that for the mamas to really, I will tell you how I understood it and you can tell me if that is true. What it's saying is if it's trauma, what you could do is you could disassociate the pain with that event and then move it into other more positive memories around the event, so the person with the trauma can let go of that pain connection. And because one of the things with trauma that I know that is fascinating is every time that you relive it, you re-traumatize yourself. So every time that you remember that traumatic experience, your body is actually feeling it all over again. So what I understood is what you are able to do is almost like cut that cord and leave the event and the facts, because the facts are the facts, but then moving the perception and the memories and the emotions that you have linked to that fact. Is that right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so you want to reprocess that trauma, right? You don't want to like bury it or never talk about it. You want to bring it up, reprocess that with new association, something more positive. And for example, the same is with a contraction. Instead of associating it with pain, we want to associate it with each contraction, your baby's coming closer and closer to, being in your arms, things like that.
I actually, that was one of the things that I love as soon as I learned it. And I talked with this with my mamas and I did my entire thing is I actually throw to the garbage the word contraction, because the word contraction implies that everything is contracting.
Pain.
I
Yeah,
didn't want my baby to be trying to come out when my body was contracted. So I actually changed it to a pressure wave. And then
yeah,
I did the same. I was like, okay, this is a pressure wave, is go as a wave is coming and going and is pressuring my body to let my baby to come out. I love that, Liz.
yeah.
For the moms that are hearing us and that are looking into um, a natural, holistic birth, what are some of your wise words around how confident they can feel about them having the tools and the power to do it and make it happen? And in your experience, what are some of the key things that they can start doing to prepare for that?
Yeah. So first of all, stop watching the shows and the movies where they're displaying the childbirth as this horrible, painful experience. Don't read like scary news or that really stressful, toxic media stuff. Try to stay around all the positive, more light things, and also don't listen to unsolicited information about other people's birthing experience because a lot of times it's a horror story. So just surround yourself in some of those more positive birth stories.
And I love that advice because um, normally those unsolicited advices like you are talking are normally of bad experience. You actually don't usually say that those news or those advices are from the things that went very well. Usually like, oh no, but here what happened here. So how a mom can, in a respectful, kind way, express
Mhm.
that this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm preparing, and thank you for that information, but I am not interested on hearing it, or that is not going to add value to me right now. How, with what you are saying, what tools you can share of a mom feeling confident of putting their boundaries on in a kind, loving way to the people around them?
Just how you said thank you, but no thank you, that doesn't serve me, something like that. And then also using some therapeutic imagery and maybe creating a container in your mind and putting the stuff that's negative and that does not serve you in that container. And yeah, just try to take in all the positives.
I love that imaginary of a trash can, so you can actually, even if you don't feel comfortable, mama, to put that boundary, because I know that some of us struggle with that. Then if you are not comfortable to say, hey, leave, you know what, thank you so much, I don't want to hear that, then you can have a big trash can in your mind, and when leaf is telling you, you are like, yep, it's going to the trash, yep, it's going to the trash, yep, it's going to the trash. And that would be, I love that. Just and then the other thing that I want to share with you is going back into the medical team is one of the things that I did is in all my prenatal classes, I literally walk out of the room whenever they start putting the videos of the things that could go wrong, the things that were painful. And my husband at one time was like, "But don't you want to hear that?" And then my point was like, no, I don't want that to be even an option in my subconscious. If unfortunately that happened, that is what the medical team is there for. They are going to be the experts. And if that happened, then I'm going to receive advice from them. But I am not going to put in my mind, in my subconscious, all of this scary thing that could happen. It's not a good use of my energy right now. So it's also like, and then as a big mama with a big belly, you have the perfect excuse. You can just say, oh, I need to pee, because
Yep.
our bladders are really tiny. So you can just coincidentally go to pee every time that an image like that or a movie like that is happening. If you don't feel very comfortable into just putting clear the boundary that that is not what I want.
Yep.
Leave. We are. I cannot believe that we're getting close to the end of the
I
show. It was so much fun. I want to ask you to please share with the mamas around the world what would be like if you could share with all of them some wisdom and one thing that you know that is going to help them in their journey preparing for birth, what that will be.
just it always comes back to trusting your inner wisdom and trusting yourself, because you and your body knows what's best for you and your baby, not nobody else. And as simple as that.
I love that. Trusting your body. And I want to clarify, neither Liv or I are saying that we are against doctors and doctors are not good. Is that you honor your own wisdom, and then from there you take advice and support from your team that include your medical team. Liv, if we have any moms that want to get in touch with you, want to hear a little bit more about hypnobirthing, how they can reach out you. I know that you said before, but I was gonna repeat it again.
Yeah, www.zenningkent, Zenning Kent.com.
So if you are exploring that either for birthing experience in the birthing, or if you mama faced in the last couple of months a traumatic birth, we want to let you know that there are tools for you, that you don't have to figure out this by yourself, that there is amazing people and teams and providers that are here to hold your hand and help you to move forward into that. And one of them is, like I always tell you with my shows, is one of my favorite team members for you as a new mom is a hypnobirthing expert that can help you to hold that and make sure that you are prepared for that beautiful birth that you deserve. Liv, thank you so much for being here. I know that you are facing COVID. I hope that you heal fast and quickly and feel amazing, and that things with sending keep blowing and blowing and blowing as beyond your wildest dream. Um, and one of the things that I love about what you were doing is empowering women, right? Is helping women to feel that they have the power and they have the control. And then for that, I keep you in my heart, and I love you for that, because we share that mission of making women feel that they can do things in their own terms. So, for all, this show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out www.spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it.